back, Freight Masters. As the title of the video suggests, I I think we find it easy to talk about successes, but there's not really like a lot of information about failures, right? So I thought that I would share with you a few things that I've done where I failed at. Okay. Um, you're going to want to pay attention till the end because I have the last one is it's a hard one to live down, right? And even for some of you new people to the industry, I think this one, I don't know, maybe it'll come as a shock or maybe it won't. To me, I don't know, it was disastrous, right? But without any further ado, let's jump into it. So the number one thing that I found myself guilty of is complacency. I think sometimes when things are going very well for us, in life and in business, we tend to get a bit complacent, right? And when that happens, we stop cold calling, we stop networking, things like that. And then that's when we start to see a decline in maybe available freight from customers because they can pick up on that. If you're not being as productive as maybe you once were, it'll affect your revenue, things like that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, overcommitting. This is another thing that I'm guilty of. It's a failure on my part. It's kind of the opposite of being complacent, right? We get into kind of such a groove that we're just go, 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 and then before you know it, you end up overcommitting to a lot of things. And it might be to someone that you're networking with, who's asked you for something. And then, maybe you have a day where things just got crazy. You had a load or two that went bad, and now you're under the gun. You're not meeting deadlines. You're not returning calls to, customers, carriers, drivers, things like this. Anything can happen. And so, what I found is, when I end up overcommitting, then I end up spending, 18, 20 hours. There's even been times I've spent a full 24 hours just so that I could keep up and fulfill those commitments that I had made previous, right? So that's number two, to avoid overcommitting. Number three, distraction. Okay. For myself personally, again, these are about my failures. Maybe none of these apply to you, but for me, distraction can be an easy thing. As some of you probably know, I have a Facebook group for brokers, carriers, and shippers. So throughout the day, I have to go through and do updates, approve member posts, approve new members. I have to watch out for spam, things like this. And while I'm on there, it can be tempting to jump into my own personal, profile and, start to scroll through my own news feed and things like this, and just, start commenting on friends' posts and, things like this. And I'm not saying that we should, ignore friends because I totally believe in us, needing to take little breaks throughout the day, right? Because it kind of helps you from getting burned out. When you're in go, go, go mode all day long, days on end, you're going to get burned out. So it's important to take little breaks. If it's just 5 minutes, just get up, step away, grab a cup of coffee, grab a soda, whatever, that kind of thing. And just take a moment to kind of regroup, relax, take a deep breath, and then come back at it. But if we find ourselves taking a break and we're on social media, I'm using Facebook as a, for instance, or maybe you're big in Twitter or whatever the case may be. We want to try to limit that, right? I think it's important. I mean, it's fine for 5, maybe 10 minutes, but we really kind of want to keep that to a minimum at the end of the workday. Then we can kind of get into that. But that's something that I found myself. It's a trap. It's a failure on my part, but I found myself getting into. Next thing I know, 30 minutes have gone by, and I'm like, oh, and I kind of got to snap back out of it, right? So yeah, avoiding distraction. That's number 3. All right. Those are my 3 biggest fails. This last thing, like I said, this was a hard one for me to swallow. I acquired this. Now, this happened a couple of years ago, and I spoke to this prospect, and they agreed to work with me. And he told me, he says, in fact, he says, I have a load that you can help me out with right now. He got me over his paperwork. We got the credit approval done. We were jamming and ready to go inside of an hour. He told me, this is your one shot. One shot. If you drop the ball, you're done. And so there was a load picking up out of Michigan, and it was a refrigerated load. And this customer had told me he was going to give me a bunch more freight. They paid very well, but I booked it with a carrier that I don't normally, that I didn't have a relationship with, right? And so some of these, getting complacent, distraction. I don't remember 100% what was going on during that day, but I do remember there was a bunch of something going on, yeah, it ended up very, very poorly. The driver had said that, he was getting offloaded. He would be there. He was like 40 minutes away. We agreed to a rate that he was happy with, and everything. And at this point, like, I wasn't even worried about, how much money I was going to make on the load, because this customer had already promised me, right, that I was going to end up with a tremendous amount of freight from them if I could get this first one under the belt, right? So yeah, I didn't do it. Next thing I know, they stopped loading at 5 o'clock. It is about 4 o'clock, and the driver had not even left. He was still 40 minutes out. Told me that he was getting empty. He actually had been empty for quite some time, just decided he didn't want to take the load, didn't let me know about it. So inevitably, I ended up, by being complacent, I ended up not looking for another carrier, because my regulars, I absolutely would have used a regular on that load, but unfortunately I did not have one in that area in Michigan. Yeah, I ended up dropping the ball, and I had to call the customer and tell him, I'm in the process of, we had an issue with the original driver. I was looking to, look for a recovery very quickly, and he more or less told me, don't bother. So yeah, that's my story of how I acquired and lost a customer all in the same day. Yeah, that was a tough one. But if you maybe have a similar experience, and you want to share it, by all means, leave a comment down below. But those are some common things that I find myself that I have to kind of battle. Like I said, distraction, the temptation with that, complacency, and overcommitting, right? It can be easy to do, in sort of this fast-paced industry that we're in. So with that being said, I hope that this video helped you out some, maybe some, pointed out some things that, maybe you could avoid, that'll help you be more successful in the future. And if you want to have a laugh and give me an LOL or something down in the comments there about me getting and losing a customer all in the same day, then that's fine. I can take the ribbing. But yeah, if you found this video helpful, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. As always, I love y'all, and be kind to one another. Until next time, bye-bye.